Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. We have a fantastic guest who's going to bring a lot of different experiences to life today. But before we introduce her, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platforms. We're on all of them. Also, check out our YouTube page because you'll see a lot of different videos from today's chat that you can take a peek at that or pictures. And also want to give a shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Nick Menard.
You're very welcome, hello winners.
Hello. So would you like the honors of introducing our special guest?
Absolutely. And talking about special guests, we have Miss Aimee Graham here as a guest. I'm very excited. We are very excited. Yeah. We had a chance to meet her last year on a ship, and it was a fantastic experience. And she shared so many amazing adventures thanks to what she's doing currently, which is Director of Sales for Kensington Tours, which is a fantastic company who allow us to build memorable trips for our clients. And so we wanted to, open this to all of you so you have an idea of what we can do and what's possible to do thanks to Kensington Tour. But without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Aimee and let her introduce herself. Here we go. Welcome, Aimee.
Well, thank you for having me. Nick and Will, we had a great time at sea. One of my favorite conferences. We got to experience a hurricane at sea together, so that was really fun. But also it allowed extra time and to get to make some, deeper conversations and partnerships. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I know it's been a long time in the making. Our schedules are quite busy, and travel, as we know, is busy. So as Will and Nick mentioned, I am the Director of Sales for Kensington. I handle the Florida market. And we know that Florida loves to travel, but everywhere we're seeing the pickup and the demand for luxury private guided travel, which is really just dialing in your experiences and making it more individually focused as opposed to the large crowds. So it's been super fun.
No, we're so glad to have you because, in Florida, people are usually thinking cruise a lot, but there are so much more to do.
So much more.
And the ability to have private luxury tour, it's something that is very appealing to me and I know to a lot of others. But can you tell us a little bit more about Kensington Tours for those who have no idea about it?
For sure. So Kensington Tours, everybody has a mantra, really what their company DNA is built on. And we want to make sure that every trip that we build for our clients and our travelers is really that once in a lifetime trip every time. Our goal is to really make it, I hate the word bucket list because it just means you have to die in order to travel. And we don't really, we want you to actually use this as an investment and more of a milestone journey. So every trip that we do is going to be customized to really be that once in a lifetime trip. And what that really means is we plan it from start to finish. You're our guest. By the time you get to, you land on ground, you're our guest throughout. And we plan it around what you're looking for compared to what we think that you should do. We want to know your travel styles. What are your eating restrictions? Lord knows we travel for food for me. So I want to make sure that I hit every restaurant that I want to. And so once we get all of your different quirks and, maybe you have a list of what you've been dreaming of for travel since you were a little kid, we take that and we place it together into a beautiful itinerary that, you have a 24-hour support with a guide or a driver, or whether it's a historian or maybe it's a foodie guide. And we really dial that experience in for you or your family if you're traveling. We do a lot of solo travel. So a lot of clients that just said, you know what, this is my trip to Africa. I've been saving my pennies for it. They make the investment and they just want to go and experience it alone with the guide. And then we do a lot of multi-generational, which means grandma and grandpa can go a little slower. They're not forced to get on buses or be in sedans or cars that really aren't conducive for families. One of my favorite ones that we really focus on a lot lately and is our ancestry. So we partner with ancestry.com. I think 23andMe has discovered a lot of new relatives that people are getting to know across the world, which is amazing. So we partner with ancestry.com and we do all of the certifications for the genealogy. And then we pair you with a guide and a driver to take you around and actually do some searching for your history or your family's history. And then we just do fun trips, girls trips, guys trips. If you want to go golfing, we're able to make it where the wives can go shopping and have a cooking class and the boys can all tee off and do their thing and not have to worry about the women worrying when they're coming home.
We never
No,
have,
yeah, but
they're
no,
self-sufficient.
I
That's
know you. I know you all. I've seen. But the individuality where you can take a trip and not have to have it on one set itinerary and you can have 10 different itineraries functioning in one trip allows you to travel with your friends, to have that buying power of a bigger group with a smaller sedan than having to join a trip that's not necessarily what one size is fitting. So one size doesn't really fit all for us.
I love it.
And it's how we want to travel, right? We want the top guides. We want the people that can show us the farm that their family raised and that their brothers and sisters might own. You want that ground experience. That's why you're traveling. If you want to just scratch off a country, I don't think you'd come to us because we're not going to do very much for you.
No, and what I love is literally the concept of taking care from everything from the time you leave to the time you come back. You guys have a way to plan things accordingly based on what the client requests. So I can give two of my personal experience working with you guys. So the first one was someone came in and said, Nick, can you help me with a trip in Alaska? I want to do a trip in Alaska. I want to visit at least 2 or 3 of the national park. And she was very specific. That's someone who travel a lot to Africa, South America, very specific places, not like very famous places. And she likes to just discover stuff for herself, but everything is like scheduled. And basically what happened is that I was able to talk to someone in your team, and then they came back with like a full itinerary from A to Z with different idea of what to do each day. And then I was able to present that to the client, and the reception was fantastic. So, oh my God, like this is better than what I thought. Like it's so well described. Like each day, like here are the possibilities. Here's what you would see if where you're gonna stay. Here's the transfer. Like literally every single step is done for you. It's like a DFY, and that's something that I pride myself for the agency to provide those kind of services. So that's why I love to work with Kensington Tours on those aspects.
Yeah, and you're exactly right when you're saying like A to Z, because I always say like nobody knows a budget on travel. Like they know what they want to spend, but nobody wants to give that to you, right? They're like, oh, I don't know what the budget is because they don't know what they don't know. And they're coming to you to get the itinerary. And if you give them, maybe $20,000 and their budget was 15, but they didn't know they could hot air balloon in the morning over sunrise, then they might find $5,000 more that they're like, this is completely worth it. We're already across the pond. Here's what we're going to do. So when you come to us, really what we're designed for is we work with the ground team. So we vet all of our ground team. We vet our hotels. I just came from Scotland. I got to find some new properties for us. I was the guinea pig for Johnny Walker, which was a very hard job.
Yeah, I'm sure they lost your arm.
The Johnny Walker experience, the new one is so cool. And you can do a VIP. So we'll do the VIP meet and greets for those. But things change all the time, especially in Europe. The buildings might not change, but what's popular will, or emerging destinations and travel trends. Colombia is one of the best values that you can get right now. There's a beautiful, it's a Sofitel coming. It's an old convent. There's just so much to see that if you don't know, you don't know. So when we come, we're always going to make that itinerary. I always say, if you tell us you want to go to Italy, we're going to sell you the boot. Like you just bought an island in Lake Como. You didn't know you needed. But we can always come down on pricing. But if we don't give you an order or a menu that you want to look at to take what you think is actually important to your journey, then we don't know where to start. So you always have to come to us, and we're always going to make you the wish list. The beautiful thing for Alaska by ground is not a lot of people are able to do it because it's quite challenging. You're in bush plains, you're in small properties. So a lot of people choose to cruise. We're not a cruising kind of company. We're a yachting company, but we're not a cruising company. We want it to be all about your guest and you. And a lot of people aren't cruisers, and they don't want to have to be on the boat and get on the boat, off the boat. They want to actually have specific areas in Alaska. Like it sounded like she knew what park she wanted. She had done her due diligence. She just not had it, operating it can be challenging. And also you want to know like what properties are. I always say Alaska has 5-star customer service, not 5-star when it comes down to properties. It is the last frontier It's very hard to get supplies and do remodels on hotels. So you want to have a team that sets expectations. All we can really do in the travel industry is set expectations because we expect travel to change, right? Airlines go on strikes, or sometimes the trains are moody. We'll do a guide that takes you to the train station. He puts your bags on so that you know you have a guaranteed departure and you feel like you're confident compared to the stress that sometimes people can get, especially if you're not a well-seasoned traveler, and getting the train systems down pat in Europe or even Asia can be quite challenging.
No,
But some places, it's the only way you want to travel because it takes you from having to go 2 hours to get into an airport, 4 hours to fly, and you could be there in a nice, beautiful overnight, train that we're able to vet for you, set up all the accommodations, restaurant reservations, right? What's on your list? We make the reservations for you. We'll tell you what we suggest. Packing list. You're going to Africa. You don't need a steam trunk. You need less. Less is more. So we'll help, the client set up. And also, we're always happy to get on the phone with your team. Like, I know Nick and Will are so involved in their clients' bookings. We're always happy to get on the phone if your clients have questions and they just say, hey, look, we want to talk. We're going to Ghana. I have a destination expert who plans all of our Ghana. She's from Ghana. Maybe you just want to know what it was like growing up in Ghana. Why do you want to go? What's the difference? You've been to Kenya, you've been to Zanzibar. Why do you want to do Ghana or Ethiopia or Cape Verde over the others? So we allow all of our clients to be able to have that information and to understand the why that we pick what we do.
I think it's truly fantastic. In the travel industry and in every industry, but definitely travel, we talk about luxury like very easily, but it's rarely the case.
It's a
With you
very loose,
guys,
it's a very
exactly.
loose word.
With you guys, I have that strong feeling when I work with you and your team is that it's literally a service. Like, you are there to help us and help the clients make sure that whatever they are picturing and dreaming, that you go above that. And so the experience is what I always like to say. That's what we want to sell. We want to sell the experience more than the destination, because destination, everybody can picture a destination, but the experience, you can only have it by doing it and by seeing it and by living it. And so I really enjoy that part of that for you guys. But you mentioned something different. You mentioned the yachts, like the yachts part of it. And a second example I have working with you guys, it was with a couple willing to go for their 10 years anniversary to Galapagos. And I remember, because I always want to make sure that I ask tons of questions, as many questions as I can, so I can get all the information and more to you guys, so you can come back with something very strong because you have so much information. And I remember stating, and I didn't know you guys were doing that at the time, and I remember stating they don't want to do a cruise only, but they have no problem having some experience on the water because they know Galapagos, you need to go around and, so and I mentioned that, but I thought it was insignificant. But actually, when I received the itinerary back, it was 3 of the 11 days were on a yacht.
Beautiful.
Going from, and this is something I'm like, oh my God, they do that as well. So even, I'm not afraid to say, even when you own an agency, you don't know everything about everything. That's impossible. But something I found it fantastic. Just that little sentence I put in that I thought I should delete. I didn't delete it, thank God, because actually that part was probably the best part of the itinerary when I was looking at it.
Yeah.
And so, something to think about when you think about a destination that's a little bit out of the ordinary, but always think, never leave something out of the conversation when we ask question, because you may be surprised about what can come out of it. So great job.
Completely. And I think the word yacht, first off, I want to absolutely agree with you on the luxury. It's just a plagiarized word now. And the truth is like, our luxury, we sell 4 and 5 star everything, but that's not our luxury. Luxury is experience of having that on ground team that makes your hotel special, and you're staying at smaller properties that don't have 6 elevators and the same smell, whether it's in New York or London or Paris. Like, that is the luxury for us. And then, of course, when things change in destination and you're able to change them on the drop of a dime, that's really our second luxury, right? But going into the yachting, into the Galapagos, we do have a brokerage. So we are the broker, which means we work directly with the boat. So the owner of the boat is our contact. We don't have a third party. We're not going. So when you come to us and you're like, hey, this client, it's her 50th birthday. The husband's really looking to surprise her. We're basing the boat off of what their needs are. What are the toys that they want? Do they want slides? Do they have kids? Do they want jet skis? I will say I'm a yachter. I think it's the best way. I've done probably 3 yacht trips with friends in my time. And every single time we've never had a bad day. Yachting sounds expensive. I think if you're invested and you're looking at a group with your clients, like clients can, we'll do a $55,000 charter out of Greek islands. And that's for 11 days with 8 people. You're talking less than $7,000 all in. You can't really even cruise anymore with a beverage package.
Yeah, right.
Or if, Lord forbid, you gamble and you're going on the boat. I mean,
What's gambling?
look, I'm from Key West. I didn't learn how to gamble till I was 35 years old. So I'm at the penny slots. I'm at the penny slots, and I don't think they have penny slots on the cruise ships.
That's funny.
So yeah, I think if you have a cruiser, especially a luxury cruiser, you have a yachter. If you're looking for something to do that is not the basic itinerary, I mean, every day is a swim stop. Every day you're on the boat. Every day you have a restaurant. You don't have to leave. And so if you are that introverted traveler that you want to be on the water, but you don't want to be around the crowds of a cruise ship, which is kind of me, the yacht is really in your wheelhouse. And it goes by where are you going. I just did a really cool South African fishing charter, a marlin charter down in South Africa on a yacht for a bunch of gentlemen. And the advisor was like, I didn't even know Africa had fishing. And I fish. And I was like, I didn't even think about Africa for fishing too.
Yeah.
So you really, truly never know where the craziest booking or what the craziest request is that you're going to get. I don't know if I've told you this, but I had an agent a few months back that she said, you guys did this amazing booking for my client. They came to me and I didn't know where in the world to start. And I was like, oh my God, where did they go? And she said, Chernobyl.
Really? Oh, wow. Because they
It
saw
was years ago, but I was just like, oh, okay, that's a first. I mean, like we just did a really cool Indian safari, like an India safari. That was really cool. So it's like, if you have this dream and you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Well, first off, you have to call your travel agent because it is going to be the most exhausting thing, even just trying to Google these types of trips, right? And you'll go down such an information rabbit hole. And then you'll end up booking something that you really didn't even want because you're so overwhelmed with information. So it's like being able to vet it, being able to have suppliers like us. That's the benefit of really having agents that know luxury, that know luxury is not a brand. And honestly, they want to give you that best experience. And for me, I want to make sure that every itinerary that we do, it has a surprise, because if you have everything planned out, where's the opportunity for the magic to happen, right? And so we had a gentleman, I love stories, but we had a gentleman, we just did his trip back to Ghana. He was 60 years ago. He was a missionary living in Ghana, and we sent him back with Kensington, solo traveler. His agent was like, he grew up in Ghana. So we found his childhood best friend and surprised him 60 years later. They hadn't seen each other since they were 68. Or since they were 8 years old and they're 68 now. His name's Humphrey. I'll send the picture afterwards. It's the sweetest. I opened the email on a Saturday and I was just crying. Because I mean, he didn't know it either. Just the guide, and Lily, who's our destination expert for Ghana, she's from Ghana. So she had her cousins actually set it up. But how cool is that? You're just like playing outside and honk, honk. Here comes your high school, your best friend since you're 8.
That's crazy.
That's where the magic happens. That's where the Galapagos happens. When you go to the Galapagos, I mean, you're chasing Darwin, right? Like you can't see it all by ground. You have to get on a boat to be able to see some of the islands, or else their ferries aren't functioning like we're used to here, where it's, Americanized and there's work schedules around it. Like their ferries are actually for people traveling and to see family, and it's not necessarily touristy. And you can't really fly around the islands. It's not possible. So everything's done by boat. But if some people is not a boater, you want to be able to have the best of both worlds.
Wow, that's incredible. The story you mentioned, that's literally going above and beyond, and you have a client for life.
Yeah, client for life. And not just that. I mean, again, it's not about the bucket list. He didn't know that was on his list, right? But that's now his milestone journey where, you just it's the magic of travel. And I think that's, and we do a lot of pre and post cruising. So if you have your cruisers and they want to go in 3 days early or 3 days after, or if they're on the cruise ship and they want all private excursions because they don't see something that's on the boat's menu of what they're offering. I had a gentleman, he was born in the port an hour north of where the boat was pulling in. We did a private driver for he and his wife, took him to lunch in his village, did a guiding tour around. Look, it's more expensive than probably what the boat offers, but when's the next time he's going to be able to take his wife to his village? It's not
Right.
going to happen. So it's just putting your money where you think the value is, and understanding value is really what experience is, right?
Oh
Wow.
yeah, 100%.
So can you tell us a little bit about you? We mentioned a lot of different destinations, so it seems like you guys go to pretty much everywhere. But I don't want to discourage people who maybe have something more simple in mind than Chernobyl, Ghana, and
Yeah.
Galapagos, and they
I
want
get
to
off
go,
on a
they
tangent.
want to go to Europe.
Yeah, that's a different kind of tan in Chernobyl. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a book one day.
You mentioned even Italy, but like for example, someone said I want to go to Spain and I want to experience something different in Spain. You guys are also able to build something specific to a country.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, we do gateway cities, absolutely, but we want to do it with a driver and with a guide. We're not going to put you on a shared tour.
Yeah.
And we could do Barcelona for a couple of days, and then maybe you want to go out to the Cava wineries and you want to experience that. Absolutely. I mean, our baby is Europe. It's always going to be our number one producer. We started our bones in Africa. Our owner was actually a missionary growing up in the Congo. So Africa is where we first started, and then we eventually grew into Europe, and now we're on every continent, including the national parks, including I just got a beautiful itinerary today for California. We're doing some wine touring and then up to Banff.
That's great to know. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just heard somebody talking. They were planning a national park trip this summer, so now I know.
It's so hard, and the properties are just impossible to get a hold of. The lottery for the your passes and your approvals are just kind of can be a challenge. But also, I mean, for us, we do a lot of things that are multi-generational, where grandma and grandpa might move a little slower. We do very well at mobility travel because we have just the driver and the guide. So, but if you do have somebody that's looking to do the national parks, or if they're going to Europe for the first time and they want more of a little bit of a hand-holding experience because they might be a nervous traveler, it might be intimidating for them. Absolutely. I would say our top destinations, Japan is definitely a top destination for everybody this year. It's like on my naughty
everybody
list.
wants to go to Japan right now. Yeah.
I know. I say our business goes where Netflix goes. Anime in Japan, Outlander in Scotland. Winter's Coming. What is the Winter's Coming was Croatia. White Lotus for Thailand.
Yeah.
If you want to know where's the next emerging destination, just watch Netflix.
Yeah, that's funny. That's very true.
And then get off your couch and go travel.
I know exactly. That's the big thing. I love that. And I know you may not know, so if you don't, I apologize, but you tell us. Will just came back from New Zealand, and New Zealand is in top of my bucket list. And I think so. I may be wrong, but one of the time that we needed to record together, but you had like a huge group, I think, going to New Zealand.
Yes.
I may be wrong. So New Zealand is something that you guys can also like tailor made like completely, because that's so much to see. And I think when I'm going, I'm gonna use you guys. I know for sure, because I want to have someone who can.
You need the wild men guides. There's so much adventure to be had in New Zealand. Yeah, I remember that. That was when it was all the flooding was going on, and we had a very large. It was the Australian Open, and they were traveling to New Zealand when it was flooding, and they wanted to pop up a helicopter ride, and I was like, it's a challenge.
Yeah, well, you did it. You made it happen.
They actually moved their tickets without knowing if a helicopter would confirm, so they pushed their trip back.
Wow.
Anyway, the great thing on private guided is you can do that. You change everything, but if you're on a pre-booked tour, you're not able to change it like that. So, but yeah, we would love to host your New Zealand. I've been to New Zealand, I think 3 or 4 times, and it's probably one of my favorite destinations. I've been to Australia like 9 times. Yeah, I would move to Australia or New Zealand in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I had business in Sydney, so I actually went for a few days early to go to northern New Zealand. Did waterfall hike, all that stuff, and I mean, it was breathtaking. I just did the northern. I heard the southern's even more beautiful, so I definitely want to go
Yeah,
back.
I haven't done the southern. It's a big country. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot to see. We have Waiheke, which all the wineries. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I also learned something new earlier that you said that actually I need to inquire more about. So if you have a convent that's converted to a hotel, those are things I need to know so I don't get struck by lightning when I walk
Uh,
into the hotel.
we'll warn you. We'll put it in the documents.
Yeah. Please let me know. Any converted convent
We need you.
hotels, I got to know because
That's
I just
funny.
don't want to get zapped.
We need you to do a confession before you walk in.
Yeah.
And we live in Florida, capital of lightnings. But all right.
Yes,
But
completely.
because I'm not in a convent, I don't get hit.
Well, there's a Sofitel in Vietnam in Hanoi that has a bunker that like Jane Fonda and Janis Joplin, they all wrote all of the songs for Woodstock, and like Will wouldn't even fit in it. It's so tiny, like he would have to crawl and crunch into two to get in. But you can only see it if you're staying at the certain property. They didn't even know it existed until 2012. They were remodeling the pool and they found a bunker from Vietnam, and so it's for all
Yeah, 'cause
like
they were over there for the war.
yeah,
And
it was
yeah.
like where all the celebrities were fighting for like, peace, and it's really
Yeah.
cool. Those are the properties that we want to be able to work with, not necessarily a Four Seasons. We can sell the Four Seasons, but anybody can sell the Four Seasons.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I love good properties.
Yeah.
I think we can
Patagonia,
do
there's
like
been
yeah, we can do 4 or 5 episodes with Aimee easily
I know.
about
I
everything that
think
we
we're
need
gonna
to
have
talk
her
about.
back on. Yeah.
But it's definitely
we'll focus
mind-blowing.
one on food, then we'll do one on hotels, back to the food.
There we
Yeah,
go.
back to the food.
Yeah, you left out drinking though.
That goes automatic with the food.
That's a
Drinking's
package.
one of my 5 favorite food groups.
I think wine is definitely a love language for my travels, for sure. I want to be able to try the wine. I just tried English wine. It was terrible. I don't recommend.
Yeah.
But I
Australia-
just think the wine tells the story of the culture. I mean, you learn in Germany that they were drinking wine in their lunch pails like they were 6 years old. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it like the story of the history of wine just usually leads into a lot of their culture, just as their food does, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
last year we did a trip and went to Champagne in France and all
Champagne.
that. And I mean, I'm not a huge wine person. I'm more of a liquor guy, but I mean, just going through those tours and the winery
Completely.
and all that. And I was like, you know
Amazing.
what? I would love to go back because the countryside, you see all the grape, all that. And it
Yeah.
really was compelling.
Champagne's just special in general. I mean, it's such a quaint little town, and then you have all the little tasting rooms. And if you're lucky enough to get out into the vineyards, it's so untouched and just nice.
Yeah.
We were
It's
there.
not like Napa.
One of his friends knew one of the owners of those small vineyards in the little village and took us down into the cave and everything. And
Oh, I love
no,
it.
we just sat in the lobby for like 3-4 hours. He just kept bringing bottles of champagne, opening and
That's the French.
drinking. It was
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
great. That was great.
When I was there, we did a visit of mums, and the granddaughter of mums came in to show us around. And one of the Americans said, I heard the French don't make wine anymore because they're lazy.
Oh, jeez. Always takes one. Yeah.
Those Americans.
This is why, no, it's true though. As Americans, we just hear things and sometimes we repeat it and it's not always the best, but that's what I think the guide does. When I had the guide in Bologna, like I learned so much about Parmesan cheese, about the cows and the farming of it. And like we were with the one bull that has to be with there's only one bull per property. And so he like has catnip in his food. He's so tired at the end of the day from like being a busy bull. So it's like the things that you learn from
I hope I come back as that bull.
the things that you learn from being a farmer, like and spending a day on the farm comes out to me like it's priceless.
My God.
Now I can go somewhere like when I'm in Publix and I'm having to buy this Parmesan cheese that isn't real, and I have to educate the person and be like, where's the bull for this? The consortium is not approving this Publix Parmesan cheese, lady.
That's hilarious.
It's awesome.
No, but I think it makes your experience a bit more hands-on. I mean, well, you're obviously coming from a place where I'm sure when you take people to your hometown, you're taking them to your hometown. Like you're not going to take them to where they see on Instagram.
Oh,
because they could find that themselves, right?
yeah.
But like
Oh,
finding the off the beaten path, making those stories come alive. And yeah, we'll do it. I get a lot of requests for Instagram photo tours, which is fine. We can do that. But how do you make that personal?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Totally.
Love it. Love it.
Was there a question or anything we didn't ask or something you wanted to showcase to our listeners before we wrap?
I think, we've went over so much. I'm going to give you so much information. I think traveling is something that's personal for everybody. I always say, like, your travel advisor is really your vacation whisperer, right? They can look at you and know, are you an all-inclusive kind of person, or are you a bit more adventurous where you're going to do a little bit of stuff on your own? I think that working with partners like us allow Will and Nick to be able to do their job properly, and we can give you capacity, right? So that you can go out and make that trip the best trip ever. Um, what's on your list, right? That's where it starts. Like, what's your travel style? I can tell you all day long, I'm not an all-inclusive person. I'm not a sun and fun. I know I want to be in Europe or Asia or somewhere where I can read the culture, read the history. But I think like that's what I'm calling Will for. That's what I'm calling Nick for. And being like, hey, I don't really know what that list looks like. It's intimidating, right? Where do you start? What questions do you ask?
Yeah.
And if you're not a traveler, can it be like, oh no, are they going to judge me for not being a traveler? But I think that vulnerability allows us to actually plan the best trip for you and gives you opportunity to let go of the reins, not have to do the Google searching, and actually have the trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's like all the best of what you could hope from an experience, whether you're a solo traveler, traveling as a couple or group, without the headache of trying to figure it out. And you said it earlier, sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Completely.
You can lean on some experts and just have a tremendous, lifelong, memorable experience.
Yeah, and I think that's where your passion comes from, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Fantastic. Aimee, you really brought a lot to life on this. Want to thank you for that. And also our winners, please remember to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. Check out our YouTube channel. You want to see some pictures or videos of some of the things that were talked about today. Be sure you do that. And then certainly thanks to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Aimee, thank you so much for being a guest. This has been a lovely half hour. Really sparked my mind actually on a number of things while you were talking that I can talk with my clients and even personally. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Aimee. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.